Hi everyone, welcome to JavaTechie. In this tutorial, we'll understand how to do performance and load testing of your application using Apache JMeter. Okay, alright. Agenda of this tutorial to understand what is JMeter, why do we need JMeter, JMeter installation guide, where I will walk you through the steps to install JMeter on your local machine. Also, I will cover how you can perform performance and load testing of your RESTful web services using Apache JMeter. While explaining this performance and load testing, I will also explain few elements of JMeter like thread group, sampler and listener. Okay. Now first let's begin with what is JMeter. The Apache JMeter application is open source software. It is purely Java application designed to perform load test, and also you can measure the performance of your application using this JMeter. Now you might have a question that why do I need to perform all this testing where I already did integration test of my application using Mockito or JUnit or TestNG, right? That's absolutely fine. Using integration test, you validate that your functionality is working fine, but you didn't measure its performance or how much load your application can serve. We can't measure that with our Mockito or JUnit TestNG integration test case. That's where JMeter helps you. Let me simplify need of JMeter by taking another scenario. As you know, in the market there are few e-commerce applications like Flipkart, Amazon, Myntra and Walmart, right? And they usually have a big billion day yearly once. And all the customers eagerly waited for that day. So in that time period, they will receive huge number of requests per second because millions or billions of customers keep attempting to purchase something. Now in that situation, their application should be capable of handling millions or billions of concurrent requests. If not, definitely the server will crash and there will be a huge revenue impact, isn't it? Now how they will verify application performance, how much time each request takes to serve, or how they will verify application load or number of traffic coming to their application, right? Whether their application is well and good to handle such kind of traffic or not. So they might need a proper test plan to verify performance and load testing of application. There are n number of tools in the market to help on the above query, but JMeter is one of the best tools among them as it is a platform independent and totally open source, and also it's quite handy to perform performance and load testing of your application with fraction of second. So let's quickly install this Apache JMeter, which is completely open source. Then we'll understand how we can perform performance and load testing of our RESTful web services. Okay. So this is just a very basic tutorial to understand how to use JMeter, and there are many more features which I will cover in my upcoming session based on your interest. Okay. So without any further delay, let's get started. So to work with Apache JMeter, first you need to download the JMeter from Apache JMeter website. So this is what the official page of Apache JMeter. If you scroll down, you can see option called binaries. Okay, and you can see there is a two option zip and tgz, which is the extension. You can use the zip. Just click on this. It will download the zip file. Okay, and once it download, just go to that particular folder. You can keep that folder here or wherever you want to move it. Okay, for now I will just keep it. I will just copy this, and I have a folder called softwares. I will just paste it and then I will simply extract it. Okay, so it will take few seconds to extract. Yeah, you can see here. Then I can simply remove this zip file. Once you extracted the folder, then go inside it. You can find the option called bin. Okay, I'll just open a terminal from this bin folder. Then I will just execute a command called sh jmeter.sh. Okay, first let me show you all the file here. If you'll see the ls, you can see here there is option called, let me search. Yeah, you can see jmeter.sh for Mac or Linux user. You can use jmeter.bat file if you are using the Windows operating system. Okay, so there is two options. So I will just run the sh jmeter.sh. Once you run this, it will create a UI page for you. Okay, let's enter it. That is called jmeter GUI. Okay, So it will just open. It will take few seconds to open that GUI page. So let's wait it to complete. So you can see here it opens some JMeter GUI page, okay, which is the user interface to access the JMeter. Now, since we are using the latest version of Apache JMeter, which is 5.4.3, there is a bug. So just click on this JMeter and you will see the option called options here. Okay, just click on this and then choose the option look and feel and change the theme to system. It's already set for me system because I tried it before. But initially when you download, the default will be this Dracula. So just change it to the system. Okay, otherwise you can't save the JMX file. So changing, no, I don't want to change. Let me see what is there. Yeah, for me it's system only. That's fine. So the first step of this JMeter is test plan. Before writing a test plan, let's see what it is. A test plan can be viewed as a container for running tests. It defines what to test and how to go about it. Okay. So I will just name the test plan here. I will name something like Spring Boot CRUD test or Spring Boot. Let me name it performance test. Okay. Spring Boot CRUD performance test. You can give any name. So we are going to test one RESTful web services. We'll just test the performance of my RESTful web services and load of my RESTful web services using this JMeter. So first step, we need to have one RESTful web services. Okay. So this is the common application I always use whenever I need to explain something about CRUD application. So if you are not aware about how to write Spring Boot CRUD application, I have the tutorial. I will share the link in video description. You guys can go through it. Okay. And in this particular example, there is nothing complex. Here we have the endpoint to add the product, which will add the single product object. Also, there is another endpoint which is post mapping, which will save list of product to the database. And there is a get mapping, which will fetch all the product from database. And also you can filter out the product based on the ID and based on the name. And there is a put mapping, which will update the product in the database. And the last endpoint, which is delete mapping, you can delete the product by ID. Okay. So these are the simple REST endpoint I just exposed from this CRUD application. So what I'll do, I'll just start this particular application. Okay. Once this application will start, then only I can start writing the performance test for this product controller or all the endpoint. Okay. So let me start it quickly. It will take few seconds to start the CRUD application. You can see here the application is started on port 9191. Now if you will go to the properties file, you can see the JavaTechie is my schema name, and if you go to the entity, product TVL is my table name. Okay, already this is created. Since this is the old example, I have the database and table, everything is ready. I'll just open the DB here and I will show you the number of records we have. So this is the GUI to access the database. Once it will open, I can show you the number of record present in that product TBL. So just close this, go to this, close, just open it, database. This is the schema name, and if you go inside this, you can find the table. There we have the table called product table. Okay, I'll just view it. You can see already I added. There is, okay. Let me query it first. Okay, select count star from. I just want to see the count of record. Okay, product TVL 5129. This many record is present in this product table. So we'll just use these records. I just manually added a more number of record in the DB to validate the performance of my application. Okay, so if you'll see the record name, it's something like product with the ID, which is the sequence number. Okay, so there is nothing complex. I just added randomly 5000 object to this particular table to check the performance of my application. That's fine. Now what I'll do, I'll just access the REST endpoint through the postman, or I can directly access the GET call from the browser itself, right? I'll just take this. I'll just go to the browser. simply I will type localhost 9191. The URL is /products. Just enter it. You can see it's taking time to format the JSON because we have the 5000 record, right? You can see all the record here in the browser. Now we are good to start writing our JMeter test. Okay, just go to the JMeter console. I just named it Spring Boot Crowd Performance Test. Now what I will do, the first step, just right click on this test plan. Then there is an option called add. Then you can see the next option called threads. Okay, so you must need to add the thread group to start any performance or load test of your RESTful web services or SOAP web services. So just click on this thread group. Then you can see the option here, number of thread or number of user will access to your RESTful web services which you will configure, and ramp up period. So let's say I'll just set here 10. Now it means in each 1 second 10 user concurrently access your API. Okay, that we will verify while performing the load test. For now I will keep it 1. I just want to check the performance of my endpoint. That's fine, you can ignore it as a default now. Now once you created the thread group, you can give any name, but let it be thread group only. Then just right click on it, then add. You can see the option called sampler. Now all the RESTful web services is exposed as a HTTP network request, right? So again you just right click on the thread group, then add, then there is an option called sampler, and choose the option HTTP request. Okay, so just click on this. If you see in this HTTP request, so I'll just start with the get API, then post, put, delete. We'll go in that sequence. Okay, so the protocol is HTTP. We are not using any TLS here, so it will be straightforward HTTP. Now the server name, you can give your host name, which is localhost. Now then the port number, I'll give 9191. Just wanted to cross verify. The port number is 9191 where my application is running, right? So I'll just give the 9191, and HTTP method type. There is an option for get, post, put, delete. For now, we'll start with the get. So I'll add get and give the path here. So to fetch list of products, I will give /products. That is what the endpoint we just fired, right? I'll just give the same path. Now the next step, you added the HTTP request. To view the response or the sampler response, you must need to add one listener. Okay, so I'll just rename this HTTP get request. Fine. Then I'll just need to add one sampler, listener. Just click on this. I'll show you again. Just right click on this, add, then go to the listener. There is various listener type. You can view your result as a tree, you can view your result as a graph. There is multiple option. Okay, so this view result as a tree is the simple one, and you can visualize the exact response of your API with this view result of tree. Everything you can try any of them, but for now I will just take this view result tree. Just click on this. Okay, so you can change the name here, but for now let it be. Okay, what I'll do, I'll just save this. You can see the save option here. Just click on save. The extension will be JMX. I'll just name it Spring Boot Crowd Performance Test. That's fine. We'll just keep with the same name. We'll just create two JMX, one for performance, one for load test. Now click on save. Now this file will be saved. Now what you need to do the next, just go to this HTTP GET request, and here you can run your endpoint. Okay, everything you configured here. You configured your host, port, and endpoint, and your application is running. Fine. So what I'll do, I'll just start the endpoint. Now if you click on this view result tree, you can see here it fetches 5000 record from the database, and the load time is 172. It is quite high. To fetch 5000 record, it should not be 172. So next time when I will try, the load time will be decreased. And you can see there is two major factor you need to check: load time and latency. These two will vary based on your application logic. So let's say I just try to access one GET API and my application will connect to some Kafka to get some value, or my application connected to the database which is hosted in different data center. So definitely it will take time to establish the connection from one app to another app, or one application to the database, right? Sometimes those value will vary based on your need. You can validate those factor, or you can set a limit, so load time should be this much or latency should be this much. Okay, so you need to understand what is latency, what is load time before you understand the number. Okay, latency is nothing, the number of millisecond that elapsed between when JMeter sent the request and when an initial response was received from your API. Okay, that is what latency. And load time, which is alternatively called as sample time, is nothing, the number of millisecond that the server took to fully serve the request. Okay, so this load time is the total time your each request take to complete the entire process. It take the thread, execute the logic, and return back the response through the thread. The entire process is nothing, the load time. Now let's see, let's do one thing. I'll just execute once again. I'll just third time, fourth time, fifth time, sixth. Now if you'll go to the view result tree, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So first time you see the load time is 172 and latency is 164. Now if you'll check the second one, it got reduced, right? Third one, 130, 107. Now I'll directly jump to the last one, 105, 96. Okay, so this is just the basic understanding of using the JMeter. You can customize your assertion, or you can set some latency or load time to validate your API. This is just I am giving a demo. And if you observe the code, there is nothing complex. See, when I fire the find all product, it will simply fetch the products from the database by doing the repository.find all inbuilt method. So I didn't write any complex logic, so that I can't demonstrate here the major load time and latency difference in all the 6 requests. That's cool. Now let's see what all things are returned from the JMeter. You can see this is the sampler result. That is what we configure the sampler. And the request which you send is nothing, HTTP localhost 9191/products. And this is the get HTTP method. And also if you see, is there any request header? This is where the request header. And you can see the response data. You will see all the 5000 record. Okay, that is what the response you will get when you hit your endpoint from the JMeter. And what else? Okay, that's fine. Now let's move to the next, which is the post API, put API, and delete API. So I will simply go to the thread group, create a new HTTP request. For that, right click on thread group, then add sampler new HTTP request. Okay, I'll just name it HTTP post request. Fine, let it be HTTP. Now the IP will be localhost, then port number is 9191, then this will be my post request. Then give the path, that will be /products, but there is 2 endpoint for post request, right? I will go back to the controller. Let me zoom this. You can see there is 2 option, add product and add products. Okay, in add products you will add list of product at single shot, and if you will go with the add product, you must need to add a single product object. So we'll go with the second option. So I will copy this URL /group, go to the browser, and then just append this URL. Since this is the post request, you must need to pass the body data. Okay, just click on this body data. I'll just copy the payload to add few object in a list. I'll just go back to the JMeter, then just add it. ID will be auto generated, so you can give your any some different name. I don't know what is the string length we provided. No, I'll give something product A, B, then C, or something, some random value. Okay, D. I just want to show you because with the above product name, the value already exists in the DB. So let's change something and just save it. And also what things you need to do as part of this post or put, you need to set the HTTP header type, which will be content type application/JSON. because this is the payload we are going to send. Earlier it was working without configuring manually, but since we are using the latest model of or version of Apache JMeter, we must need to specify the content type. So what I will do, I'll simply right click on the HTTP post request, then just go to the add, then you can see something called config element, and there is option called HTTP header manager. Just click on this, and here you can add the key and value. Just click on add. Key is nothing, content hyphen type, and value is application slash JSON. Right, now just save it. Fine. Now in post we configure the host, port, and we provided the endpoint. Now I just want to access this particular endpoint. So what you can do, there is a single view result tree we created. I will just clear this. Then I will go to this post request and I will hit it. Now if we'll go to the view result tree, since we already added the get and we are using the common view result tree for get and post, it will execute the get as well as post. As many as number of HTTP requests I will add, in a single click it will execute everything. That is what I don't want to demonstrate that. I can make it single, but again I need to create another view result tree for each HTTP method. Okay, so let it be. We just did this HTTP post call. If you see the request, this is what the sampler result I am showing here. Okay, it took load time 137 and then latency is 137. Now if you'll see, this is what the request body you can see here. These are the data we passed, and these are the request header, and this is what the response data. Whatever we added, that is what we are returning the list of object. That is fine. If you want, you can verify in the DB, but that is not what our intention to validate whether it is there in DB or not. You can see the count increased by next 5 or 6. Let me check. Yeah, okay, it means the record is added, but we just want to focus on the JMeter, not with the DB count check and all. So that is fine. So you can see here, let me try again. You can see the earlier post it took 137 latency, and the second time you can see the reduce your load time and latency. Okay, that is what all about the post request. Guys, once again I am telling, this is what just a simple demo to understand how to use this JMeter, and you need to know more about this load time and latency to evaluate the performance of your RESTful web services. Since my code does not have any complex logic, I am getting the low number here or very less number here. Okay, 76, 74. In real time, when we will access any endpoint, it may need to connect to multiple Kafka database, lot of things, right? So definitely you will get higher value of this load time and latency. That's fine. Now let's move into the put mapping. So I go to the thread group, create a new HTTP sampler, then just change it to the put request, then just give the host, which is local host, port is 9191. The method type is put now. We just want to update something. Okay, and give the URL. Let me verify the URL from the endpoint or the controller class, which is nothing, update product, and we have the root URL slash products. Okay, I'll just give slash products. That's it. Now you just need to provide the body data. If you'll check the endpoint, where is the put mapping? Yeah, if you check the endpoint, we are giving the product object as a JSON value. So we need to pass the body data here. I just want to take some random value to update. What will take? Let me check what we just added. If you'll go to the post request, this is what we added, right? I will take one object to modify it. Go to the put, go to the body data, just add it. For this, I also need to pass the ID, right? I don't know the ID of it. So I will take, let me check. I'll just do API call to get a single value. It is there. I'll just take any object which ID I know. Just copy this, because put will work based on your ID, right? Based on your ID, it will fetch the old record from DB, and it will just set the new value which we just passed as part of payload. So I just need to pass this ID 6. I just want to change the product name as product 66 something, some random thing. Okay, I will also change the quantity to 2 and price is, let's say, some value. That's fine. And also, since this is the put request, you need to pass the header manager, HTTP header manager, to set the header content type. So you can, I'll show you again. Right click on this, add, then go to the config element, add the HTTP header manager, then click on add and give the key as a content hyphen type, and then give the value as a application slash JSON. Fine. Just save it. Save this. Now we are good. We have the payload, we have the host, we have the port and URL and HTTP method. Now let me clear the console. So here I am using a single view result tree. So once I execute this, it will also show you the result tree for get and post. But we are going to focus on the put, right? We already understand how get and post works here. That's fine. So I will just hit this endpoint. Now if you go to the view result tree, as I mentioned, you can see get, post, put also. One thing I forgot to mention, if you are getting the green, it means your result is succeed. If it will fail with the some reason, then you will get the red color icon. Okay. Now let's check the HTTP push request sampler. So you can see here the load time is 34 and latency is 34, and send bytes, header size in bytes, body size in bytes. There is so many things to know all the key and attributes. Now if you'll check the request, this is the request. If you'll check the request body, this is the request body we just passed, right? And this is the request header. We just set the content type application slash JSON, and if you'll check the response data, the value got updated. Product O or 066 and the price some random value which you added. You can validate that in the database as well, but it seems our put is working, right? So far what we are doing, that is the performance test. Okay, you just need to check the performance of your API based on the sampler result. I didn't mention so far about the load testing. I will cover that once I will cover all the HTTP method for performance test. Now let's move into the next one, which is delete. Just go add, go to the thread group, right click add, then click on sampler, click on HTTP request, and then I'll just change the name here, delete request. Give the host, which is local host, then give the port 9191. Choose the method type as, what is that, delete, right? Delete, and then give the path. So I'll just check in my endpoint. This is the path. So give slash products slash delete and give the ID. Let me check the put one which we just tried. ID is 6, right? I just want to delete this. Just give the ID as 6. I don't think we need to pass the body data, because if you'll check the code, the delete mapping is taking only a single field, that is ID, which is path variable, which you must need to pass as part of request URL. So if you'll check here, here I am also, not this JMeter, I am also giving as part of request header, request URL, not header. Okay. Now I'll just go to the view result tree. I will clear everything. Once I will fire this HTTP delete request, it will also show me the result tree of get, post, put. We'll just ignore them, just execute it. Go to the view result tree. You can see HTTP delete request is working, and the load time and the latency is same. Now what I will do, I will just change the load test of my application. See, that is what all about the Spring Boot crowd application performance test. I just show you get, post, put, delete, how you can access using Apache JMeter, and how you can evaluate performance of your application. Okay, so there is nothing to understand about this number, because our application is a simple one. Okay, that's it, all about the performance test. Now we'll move into the load test. So for that, load test is nothing. You will forcefully add few user to trigger or to access your application with some time interval. Let's say I can send 50 requests in single shot within a second. Like that, you can customize your number of concurrent requests or traffic to your application. Okay, so that is what I will do. So what I will do, I will create another HTTP request, or I will create another thread group itself. Okay, let me check. This is the Spring Boot Cloud performance test. thread group. I'll just name this thread group as a what I'll just give load testing thread group. Okay, you can add it here also in the same thread group. I just added in a different one to show you the, like, I just want to keep them as separate. Okay, then in the thread group, just right click sampler, just click on HTTP request, and I will just give the, we'll try for the get API. Okay, localhost. You can also try for the post, put, delete. Same way, the way I will do for get, you can give a try for other put, post and delete. There is nothing complex. Okay, just give the port 9191. I'll give the get slash products. Then what I'll do, I will just modify the thread group. Now I want 50 user, let them to access in a single second. I mean, if my application is running in a single second, 50 user or 50 thread will send concurrent request to my application. Okay, you can loop the count. I'll make it 2. Like in first second it will send 50 requests, then again in the next second it will send 50 requests. Okay, so you will find total 100 requests with 2 seconds. And because I mentioned the loop count as 2, so first it will do this, then again it will initiate the same process. That is fine. We'll just save it. But before that, since we added the HTTP request, we need to add the listener to view it. So add listener view result tree. Fine. So I'll just name it view result tree for load testing. You can also generate the report, and you can also write the test-ng scenario by exporting a CSV file. You can execute your all the endpoint in a single shot. Those things I will cover in my upcoming session based on your interest. Now let's focus on this load testing. What I will do, we just need to save it, guys. Just save it. That's fine. So now, as per our thread configuration, each second it will send 50 requests simultaneously. Okay, so just hit this endpoint. Now if you'll see, it keeps sending the request here. You can see here the total number of requests is 100 here. Like virtually you are forcing to send n number of requests in a second or whatever the time interval you will specify, so that you can evaluate the load test or the stress your application can handle. Now if you'll see this HTTP request, load time is 136 and latency is 126. You can see here, see here, the third time the load time took more time and latency took more time, right? If we'll go down, see here, it is keep increasing load time and latency. I mean, you need to design your application in such a way it will give the consistency result, not fluctuation of the number. Now, since I am using the predefined library of Spring Data API, I don't know the exact reason why it's taking time, but my intention is not to guide how to design your application. Here we are just understanding how you can evaluate load testing of your application, or how you can control the number of traffic coming to your application. Okay. Now if you will scroll down, you can see here, see this load time is keep increasing latency. Now what I'll do, I'll just check here, 618, 614. What we'll do, we'll just change this thread count. Just go here and edit it. I'll just give 5 requests in single second. I'll just remove this loop count to 0. Now I'll just save this. If you anytime if you do any change, just remember to save this file. Okay. Now I'll click on this and I will execute this. Now go to the, okay, I didn't clear the old one. Let me clear this. Then go here. Then run this. Now go to the view result tree. What is that? There is no execution. Let me save. Okay. Fine. In the thread group, it must need to be 1. Now once again save this. Go to the load testing thread group. Go to the HTTP request and just hit it. Go to the view result tree. You can see here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is what we mentioned in our thread group, or yeah, thread group. Number of thread or number of user is 5, and they are sending the request in a single second. In a second, I am getting 5 requests to my application. Now if you go to the view result tree, Go to the sampler result for the first one. Load time is less 72 and 64. I'll directly jump into the last one. It's consistent. There is not much difference in the first and fifth. Yeah, 39, 39. So it means when I increasing the number of requests to my application, this load time and latencies keep increasing, right? That is what we just observed with the 100 requests. Now with the 5 requests, my application is working, or my application is able to handle 5 requests per second. So I need to design my application in such a way so that it can handle million of requests in a single second. So that is all about depends on your implementation. Okay. So in this tutorial, we just understand how you can perform the performance test and load test using the JMeter. We have the simple RESTful web services for all the 4 HTTP method. We just did the performance test and we tried the load test for only GET API. You just give a try for other put, post, delete to perform this load testing on your local machine. As you can see, it is pretty clear that it's very easy to test the API with the number of virtual users with just a simple changes in thread group configuration. That is what we did just now, right? With JMeter user can do the testing other than load testing, for example, stress test, functional test, and distributed test. So I believe this session is helpful for you. If you have any query, feel free to ask me in the comment section. That's all about this particular video, guys. Thanks for watching this video. Meet you soon with a new concept.